Hello, Happy New Year. Welcome to episode 16 of my little craft pod called Knitting Not Screaming. If you haven't been here before, my name is Tanis. I am a multi-crafter living towards the south coast of the UK. Well, I hope you've all had a really lovely Christmas break and had a good rest. We had a very quiet one. We don't either of us have much family, so we're mainly here with a little cat, and it's just really cozy and lovely. But we're all back to work now. Well, I say back to work, I'm sort of back to work because as I've said before, I work part-time for someone and I also work for myself, so the working for myself bit never stops. But my boss is actually away on holiday himself, so he is still sending me through work to do because I work from home, but not so much at the moment. So I hope he's having a lovely break too. Not that he's going to watch this in a million years. So I'll stop umming in a minute. Yeah, I'm not much of a one for like New Year's Eve do's and parties and things. Well, you know me, I'm not really much of a one for leaving the house, to be honest. I don't normally go out on New Year's Eve to, like, you know, we don't go for a meal or anything. We did have a little bottle of Prosecco, but we don't even stay up until midnight anymore. I don't like going out where there are crowds and things, and I don't really like those end of year roundups that they have on TV either, so I don't really see the point in just sitting here waiting for the clock to tick over, which sounds a bit miserable, but it's not really meant to be. It's not meant to be. It's a lot. We're happy as we are. I just think you don't have to join in if you don't want to join in on things. It's fine to do your own thing. That's kind of what I mean. So normally I only record a podcast when I finish something. So I wasn't going to record one for a while yet because I felt like I hadn't really finished anything. But I felt like recording, so you know, why not? And then I thought, actually, I have finished something. I've finished something blooming massive. My last year's temperature scarf, which, depending on how you look on it, is a complete disaster or is utterly brilliant. So we're going to choose to go with the utterly brilliant, I think. It was supposed to be a scarf. I was intending to do a temperature scarf, but I made some judgment errors. I decided to make it in double knit instead of 4-ply, and really, to be honest, lace weight would have been an even better option. Oh, a nice furry one would be nice, wouldn't it? A mohair one. Anyway, then that would all sort of blend and it'd be lovely. Yeah, someone else should really do that. So, yeah, I made it double knit, which made it bigger. And I did the lowest temperature of the day and the highest temperature, which also, instead of doing an average temperature just once a day, I do a row forward and back, and that makes it super long. So in fact, mine turned out to be very, very long indeed. I'll show you. I love it. Now, which end am I? Which end? Here we are. Right, so that's January. So where I've showed you this before, where the project markers are, which I'm going to take out shortly. That's the change point of a month. So that's January, going to February and March. I'm not going to say all the months out loud. Look how cold March was. And that's a cheek because March is my birthday. And you don't want it to be freezing blooming cold on your birthday, really, do you? Look, now we get into the summery months and the colours go a bit more crazy. Until it gets like really hot. I mean, this must be, well, that must be July, August, something around there. But it's great though to get that big pop of colour. And then, yeah, that must be because it was September. No, that must have been July, and then that would be August, because it was in September when we had the hottest day of the year, which is where it went orange. So orange means blooming hot. Yeah, we had quite hot. Yeah, that's it. There's the orange. Sorry, that's the orange stripe there. You can't really tell. And then we start cooling down again a bit to the end of the year. Back into October and December, which doesn't really get cold enough to really be winter. Because, I don't know about you, but I remember, I mean, it depends how old you are, doesn't it? I mean, I'm in my early 50s. We had properly cold winters, and on bonfire night, I can remember bonfire night being like properly cold. Like you had to stamp your feet on the, it would be like literally the ground would be frozen at that point of the year, and you'd have to stamp your feet on the ground while you're watching the fireworks to keep them warm. And that was why they sold baked potatoes and roast chestnuts at the fireworks dues, because it was so blooming cold. You needed something hot to hold in your hand. And now it doesn't really get that cold until the new year. So, I mean, this year we haven't had any sort of frost or ice or snow in December so far. Nothing. I mean, we've had a lot of rain and some quite scary wind, which sounds well, doesn't it? But yeah, no proper Christmassy, wintry weather. So I'm assuming that's going to be the same as last year, where it'll, you know, bleed into March pretty much, which I'm not, you know, she's quite worrying, isn't it? Now, let me show you the scale of this thing. This is it folded in 4. So the whole thing is about 12 feet long. So, I mean, that's a bit of a problem because that's now too big to be a blanket. But I love it. Look, when it's all rolled up, it's still quite that fat. So storing it for a year is also a bit of an issue. Oh, it's lovely though. So I was in half a mind to just not carry on with it this year and just mark that, put that down to experience. And maybe fold it in half and sew it together and use it as like a runner over the foot of the bed. But I never really use those, so it seemed like a bit of a waste. And then as I cast that off, I thought, I don't want to stop. I loved doing that, just like every day, just those 4 rows, because I only cast on 54 stitches, and then I just do like a basic chevron stripe, like from using the zigzag, you know, the zigzag scarf, using that pattern for the, I mean, you'd find that in any stitch directory as well, that zigzag chevron pattern, you know, stitch. And I just thought I just really enjoyed it, and I just don't want to stop. So I've cast on another one for this year, and it is starting slightly already. It's showing slightly warmer than this time last January. So, which is also a bit of a worry. Oh man, look, I did my nails today and I've scuffed them already. I'm so bad at scuffing my nails. All the others are all right though. Anyway, I've gone off on a tangent, haven't I? So, that's my only finished object, but it's a massive one, isn't it? So, I think that counts. Well, of course it counts. It counts. If I say it counts, it counts. It's my knitting, my choice. Right, so the other things I've been doing, obviously, because I make these to sell, these are my little hairnets, 1940 style hairnets, and I've made them recently in black acrylic. I'm making one in black cotton now, and I made a brown one the other day. I'm not gonna, oh, I can't show you the brown one because I've already posted that to someone. Black Snoods you have seen endlessly, so we'll move on from that. The other thing I've been making, I've been a bit obsessed with making berets. Now I know I've showed you these before, but when you've got a little stack of them, oh look, I haven't shown you the brown one before because I only just cast it off. They just look so jolly, don't they? And I'm now obsessed with making berets. I've put them in my shop. So far no one has been tempted. I'm not going to let that put me off, because I just really love doing them. These are all in wool. They're all DK weight yarn. The pattern I use is a freebie from someone called Connie Lene Johnson, and she's happy for you to use her pattern to sell commercially. You just have to reference her in the listing, which obviously I've done, and I'm very grateful to her for it. And it's a lovely pattern because where all the decreases are, you see, you do them, you purl 2 together instead of knitting 2 together, and it gives you these lovely little purl bumps, a little bit of texture in it, which I think looks super, super cute. And yeah, I can't stop making them. I've made 4, and I think I'm knocking out a rate. I'm doing them at about a rate of 1 a week, because I do 10 rows a day on those if I can, as much as possible. And the pattern, before you do, oh, I just ruined my fringe. The pattern has, I think, 56, 57 rows in it before you do the little stalk, which is only a few rows. But I've got a problem at the moment, is that I keep, whenever I get to these final decreases here, where things do get quite fiddly diddly, I keep dropping stitches. Oh, it's so annoying, because by then it is all pretty fiddly diddly, and I mean, it's easy enough to pick them up and put them back on the needle again, but I just need to work out a better method of doing that. I don't like doing magic loop, and I've been doing those final decreases on DPNs, but I don't know, I need to maybe use wooden DPNs for that bit, because I'm using metal ones, and I think maybe they're just a little bit too slidey for that, because I'm literally just dropping, because you end up with like hardly any stitches at the end. Like you go down to like 13 stitches, and then the pattern stops then, I think. But I like to take it down a few more to make the stalk a little bit finer. But yeah, I wonder if, because these are the metal DPNs I've been using, and they are sort of very shiny metallic, so I don't know if I'm shooting myself in the foot a bit with that. Okay, so I've got enough. This mushroom brown one, that's the latest one I've made, and I bought, it's the West Yorkshire Spinners Colour Lab in, what shade is it called? Oh, they don't put the names on, do they? But it is like a mushroom colour. It's number 18. It's 100% British wool, as it always is with West Yorkshire Spinners. I bought this from Seeded, the lovely local yarn store down in Southsea, which is not very far from here. And this one, I've decided to do a contrast cast on. So there's just like the cast on row, the cast on stitches rather, and then I do 2 rows of green, a little bit of green left over from this green fella. And I just thought that'd make a nice touch, because I've got a bit of a thing. I mean, obviously with the Snoods, I'm repeating making black ones over and over and over again. I do one like every day. But in everything else I make, I'm not massively keen on making the same thing all the time. Well, I like making, oh, that's a lie, isn't it? Because I like making those berets, but I don't want to make the same colour over and over again. I want to just do what I feel like doing. And I was trying to explain this to someone at work the other day when they asked me something over about my Etsy shop, and I was saying like about making vintage brief, you know, knitting from vintage patterns, and I said, and it came up about commissions, and I said I used to take commissions, but I don't anymore, because I find the time pressure that obviously you need to have for that, even though you know, you can set your own time scale and say this is how I work, and then people can go with that or not. I still find that kind of kills the joy for me. I have to be totally in control of what I make, when I make it. And then I was saying to her that I just make what I feel like making in whatever colours I feel like using, and then I put them in my shop, and then if they sell, they sell, and if they don't, well, actually they will sell. They'll sell eventually. They just might not sell in the time period that you're expecting them to. Sometimes, you know, things can sit in there for months and months. I've had things sitting in the shop for over a year that, you know, will then just suddenly sell. And she immediately said, oh, so it's more of a hobby then. And I thought, well, so I just kind of just went, yeah, because I just thought, I can't, you know, there's no point. There's no harm in her thinking that. And if I correct her, it sounds like I'm being a bit, I was worried that it would sound like I was being a bit like, no, actually, that's how I run my business. So I just kind of, yeah, that silly ass way that I do. But I think that's a valid way to run my business. It is, that's the point of it, is it's my business, and I do as I like with it. And that's what I like doing, is just doing whatever makes me happy. I mean, because otherwise what is the point in doing it? I might as well just go and work for any old company doing any old thing, you know? You gotta work on the enjoyment of what you're doing. Oh, I'm going on such a tangent. And all I was meant to talk to you about was berets. So, berets and snoods are done. Now, those are the selling things. And that is it for the selling things part. I'm not asking you to buy things. They just sit in my Etsy shop and then people come across them. I told you I finished the Sophie scarves, didn't I? And then I took them into work. That's the bit that I haven't told you. I really hope they like them. You know, you just get the fear, don't you? Oh, I do. If you make something for someone, you know, like people talk about people being knit worthy, whatever. Because I don't work like in-house with people, it's quite hard to gauge whether people would like things or not. And I'm quite guilty of, if I like doing something, I think other people will like it. But that's not necessarily true, is it? But I took them in and they seemed to really like them. They seemed really happy with them. One of the girls, obviously you know the Sophie scarf, the little neckerchief thing. One of the girls picked it up and said, how do I wear it? So I tied mine around my own neck and showed her. And they seemed pretty happy with them. And then one girl immediately, like unprompted, went, oh, you could wear it like a headscarf too. And I was like, yes, you can. And she tied it round her head, and oh god, she looks as cute as a button. I mean, they're all gorgeous there anyway, but I mean, she has got the most amazing hair anyway. Very, you know, you look at someone's hair and just think, oh, I wish that hair was mine. Yeah, it's thick, sort of, very like a light auburn colour hair. It's really beautiful. And anyway, she just tied, just loosely, kind of went like that. Just everyone just looked at her and went, oh, that looks amazing on you. And it did. And I you know, that was enough for me. If that's the only moment, if that's the best moment of enjoyment I get out of them, then, you know, everyone has a happy moment there, didn't they? And that was made it worth it. But yeah, no more Sophie scarves for me for a while, unless I make one for myself, and I do really love them. And they're quite a nice sort of in front of the TV project. So, you know, chances are I will make more, but maybe not this month, because I made 8 of them, one after another, and that's enough Sophieing for me for now. Now then, I will show you something that is a finished object, but it's a finished object from long ago, which you would never have seen, because I've been having a bit of a wardrobe sort out. I want to like free up some storage space upstairs, because if you give me an inch, I'll take a mile with storage. I just pretty much dominate this house with my stuff, and it's not really fair. So I'm trying to get rid of a few things. I've been listing things on Vinted, that, you know, the things that when they come around in your wardrobe to wear and you put them on and think, no, I just need to lose a few pounds and then I can wear it. And then you realise that's gone round and round several times, and like, you know, I haven't got any smaller, so, or taller, which would also have the same effect, wouldn't it? So amongst those things, I came across a box of hats that I'd knitted for myself. Not like a big box, not a big box, like a little like wardrobe storage box. And in there was this like really basic beanie with self-striping yarn that was from I Knit London, which was absolutely beautiful. It's grey with darker charcoal stripes and all these little neon flashes of pinks and blues and yellows. It's absolutely beautiful and on and it's a sparkle, and you hold it double with a little bit of kid silk mohair, and it just, oh god, such a lovely thing. And I wore it uptown the other day because I walked uptown when it was windy, and I'd blow dried my hair that morning. Spent quite a long time, you know, getting it all, you know, in like a quite nice curl set thing, and within seconds it was just like a haystack on my head. And every shop I went into, I could see people's eyes sliding up to my fringe, which was like that. It was totally Boris Johnson land, and but even more hideous. And I just thought, what you need, lady, is a hat. So yeah, when I came across this, oh brilliant. But I don't think beanies particularly suit me, but this one for some reason does, and I was so happy with it. I might make some more. And I noticed, I don't know if I'm saying this right, so we're just gonna go with it. I can say this bit right. His name's Andrew, and he's is it Albanac knitter? Oh, I don't know if that's the right way to say it or not. But his podcast is based on, he's on the Isle of Arran, so that will have to do for you. But I'm sure you can find him. He did last year, and I follow so many channels that I lose total track of. I miss out loads because I'm following so many, I can't keep up with all of them. But I really like his one. And apparently, because I've missed tons of his, he did a beanie along with a charity last year, and I really want to do that. So I'm going to use this pattern and see if I can knock out some beanies to send off to him for, I think it's a project in Glasgow. But you know, there may be other people that are in want of beanies. I don't have to be exclusive to Andrew. Could do though, because you know that would take some effort, wouldn't it? So find someone else. That rattling is me just moving, but this was my giant notions pouch, which I keep beside me on the chair there all the time, because it has like scissors and stitch holders and all kinds of, you know what notions are. Now then, I have got some whips to show you. I'm not going to show you the new temperature scarf that I've cast on, because actually, you know, if you do want to see any of that, I'm every now and then I'm putting it in my Instagram stories on my Knitting Not Screaming Instagram feed. So yeah, I just put it in the stories. So, and I've done that every day. Have I done that every day? Well, I've done it the last couple of days anyway. But anyway, I might do that rather than keep putting it in the grid, because it gets a bit samey, doesn't it? So, now I've been talking about this for a long time now, and I know if anyone's made a half and half shawl, they'll know that it will stay on your needles forever. Like, they take forever and ever to make. It's tons of garter. It's very, very enjoyable, but also a bit relentless. And I have that thing where I get so far into a project, if it's a bigger project, like if it's a jumper or a big shawl, or there's always a point where I think, I don't like this anymore, and I just want to frog the whole thing. And I do it all the time. Actually, I even do it with socks. I do it with smaller projects as well. There's always a point where I think, this isn't working for me. I mean, even my Etsy shop, the other day, I was thinking, I hadn't had any sales for a few days because it was Christmas. Obviously, people aren't desperate. Anyway, I hadn't had sales for a few days, and I thought, oh, this isn't working. It's obviously, my shop's failing. It's all going down the drain. I'm going to think about closing it. And then I had to look at my stats, because it's pretty good. It's got this seller dashboard thing that you can look at what your averages are over the last week, month, year. And when I looked at it over the year, my sales are actually up 7.7% in 2003 compared to 2022. Now, although my numbers are small, because, you know, I don't sell a huge amount, that's pretty good for me. I mean, you can't sniff at 7.7% increase, can you? So, yeah, I don't know. I do a little bit, you know, it's a little bit, what do you call it, doom thinking? Don't know. But I managed to, you know, I always manage to talk myself out of the Etsy one, but that comes around quite a lot with me. It only takes a day or two of no sales, and I start thinking, this is a waste of time. And it's not, it's totally not. Anyway, that's my thinking with big projects. There's always a bit where I think, oh, I can't be bothered. And this is such a massive project that there have been many, many times when I thought, I don't know if I can carry on with this. And bear in mind, there are ends to be woven in, so you do see a lot of ends, and it hasn't been blocked, so there are some wibbly wobbly bits. But this is my, and I went for the giant size as well. This is my half and half shawl. Well, it's half of it. So that's like, it's really, sorry, the light's a bit funny because it's a rubbish day. I'm actually recording this on Thursday. I'm really busy tomorrow, but I want to upload it over the weekend. So yeah, I'm not gonna have time to do anything much with it for the rest of today other than record. So I'm gonna try and edit it tomorrow at some point, although I don't have a lot of time free tomorrow, and then upload it Saturday morning. We'll see how we go. But anyway, I have literally turned a corner with this, and I couldn't be happier. Look, I'm on the second triangle. My God, this part is flying. This is my TV knitting, because it's so easy. It's so easy. But yeah, oh, I think it's gonna be, that's gonna be a fine feather, isn't it? You can't see, but this, both of these colours are sparkle yarns, and mine is a cotton yarn as well. Now I think there's a pretty good reason why they Purl Soho. Is it Purl Soho? It is, isn't it? Yeah. I recommend their linen quill frizz, because that's quite a light yarn, and cotton is really not a light yarn. So this beast is heavy. It's pretty heavy already, and it's going to, I mean, it's only going to get heavier, isn't it? Because the bag, this is the bag of yarn still to knit. There's a ton of it, an absolute ton of it, but it's going to be such a nice little thing. Well, it's a little thing, it's going to be a beast, but when it's done, I think that's going to look amazing, because those two, that mint green is lovely, and they've both got silver sparkle in, I think. No, I think it's the sparkle is actually the colour of the yarn, and the teal colours, I mean, teal's like one of my favourite colours. Show me someone who doesn't like teal. Do you ever meet anyone who doesn't like teal? I think teal's the universal colour. Yeah, super happy with that. Now, my next whip, I'm risking the curse of the sweater curse. I'm making another jumper for the mister, even though he doesn't wear the last jumper I made for him, which was actually lovely. It was made from alpaca, which I know can grow alarmingly, but he says he doesn't wear it because it's special and it's for best. And we don't have special and we don't have best, so it never gets worn, which I am pretty miffed about, to be honest. But I did promise I'd make him another jumper, and he chose the yarn and he chose a pattern. And if I had chosen the pattern, I certainly would not have chosen double moss stitch. But there's a pattern. It's a commercial pattern by Maypole. Maypole is in a yarn called Firecracker, and it's just called Man's V-Neck Sweater. Now, I think Maypole is actually an American brand. It says Jenny Watson Designs stroke Euro yarns, although it's really not Euro. It is actually American. So we couldn't get the yarn the pattern calls for in the UK. Yeah, Jenny Watson Designs. But I found this on, this was on Ravelry, and it's just like a textured V-neck long sleeve jumper, and it's knit flat in pieces, which I know a lot of people will only knit in the round, but I think you get a much better fit personally. And I don't like when you knit in the round, you get this horrible stretched bit here that I don't think that section works at all well on jumpers knitting around. I think there needs to be some increasing done here or something to stop, because they always look to me like they're really pulling there. I've not made one, but when I see ones that other people have made, there's always like a bit of a tension issue. They're not tension, I don't mean tension like gauge, I just mean the pull of the fabric I don't think particularly works. So here we are. This is woody knit yarn. I think it's just called British yarn, isn't it? The woody knit yarn in chestnut. Now let me tell you, of a winter's afternoon and evening, chestnut brown double moss stitch would not be my first choice, but he has to have obviously what he's happy with. And it's also, this yarn is a 4-ply and that pattern's for a DK yarn, so I'm using 2 strands held double, which is not something I particularly am keen on doing either, but it's all right with this one because it's feels quite rustic. It holds together nicely, it doesn't all go, you know, you don't ever find yourself knitting 1 strand instead of 2, which is really good. It's got lots of like little guard hairs and things in it, which I know some people might have a bit of an issue with. It might make it a little bit scratchy to wear, but I think he would always wears a t-shirt under jumpers, so I don't think it will bother him. But it has got a very distinct, really lovely sheepy smell, and it's quite strong because when I was sitting next to him on the sofa the other day knitting it, I said to him, this is yarn, smells lovely, and he was like, I can smell that, that does smell really nice. So I let him bury his face in it for a bit, and he was like, yeah, that's what I can smell. And it has got eau de farmyard about it, so yeah, if that bothers you, I mean, that will go when I block it anyway, that smell, won't it? But it's nice while you're knitting it. It is nice. I don't know, I find that quite comforting. I mean, I'm not really a country person. I like the idea of the countryside, but I don't want my shoes to get ruined. I once dumped a boyfriend for ruining my shoes. Have I told you that? He thought, I'm pretty sure I've told you this already. He thought it would be romantic to go for a walk through Epping Forest, and I had new shoes on and hadn't realised that it had been raining that way and it was a muddy bog. And to say I wasn't happy, it's a massive understatement. And yeah, I don't think I ever saw him again. I think my last words to him were, take me home. He deserved it. He should have known me better. Now, what I don't have here, I'm going to quickly stand up and go and rummage around over there where my other whips are, is the scrappy socks I'm working on. I've never really made scrappy socks before. I've made, you know, socks with like a contrast toe and heel, which I suppose you could class as somewhat scrappy, but this was just literally using up odds and ends of Christmas yarns, and man, they ugly. But I'll show you, hold on, bear with me. Oh, what have I done with them? What have I done with my ugly socks? There they are, there they are. Right, hello. I'm on the second one. At this stage, everything's lovely, but I finished the first one and the heel, I used a West Yorkshire Spinners Silent Night, which is all right, but for some reason, when doing that for the cuff has totally ruined them, because I didn't have enough of this green to do the cuff as well. I don't really, well, luckily I wear socks like under trousers, so you're never going to see the cuff when I'm wearing them. but I do feel like I've ruined them. All was going well, I think, until, because I'm doing helical socks with, I'm striping one of the West Yorkshire Spinners Christmas yarns with a West Yorkshire Spinners signature solid in milk, and that's worked out really nice. I've got a Giddy Aunt sparkly green for the toe. Oh, I just found a little mistake. I mean, it doesn't matter. There's a little jog in my jogless. But yeah, I don't know where I went wrong there. Somehow that cuff just hasn't worked brilliantly. But I'm going to carry on and finish the other one eventually. And then they'll just go into my stash of socks. And I think when I'm wearing them, I think I'll love them, because I really like striped things. But I think that cuff is always going to bother me. So there's not really anything I can do to change that. I can't be bothered to rip it out. The toe up socks, though, I literally could rip that out and it wouldn't be too much of a nightmare. But can I be asked? No, I can't. I'll just live with it. And like I say, it'll be under my socks, so, you know, unless someone looks up my trouser leg, and the only person likely to do that, to be honest, is the cat, and she's not going to say anything. Not if she wants some dreamies, she won't. So, that... Oh, I've got a couple of vintage knits. I'm not going to show you one of them. It's that maroon bag that I've been knitting that's I'm still struggling with a bit, which I should be doing now. Did I tell you I ripped out the 1x1 rib hood scarf that I was making? It's a vintage pattern, which I think it would have been nice when it was finished and blocked, but I was losing the will to carry on with it, to be honest. It's just too much rib. I mean, this is the woman who's doing a moss stitch entire jumper, but I just didn't really want to carry on with it, to be honest. So I pulled that out and I'm making this one instead. Oh, she's lovely. So I'll show you it, but to be honest, there's not a lot to show you because it's just pink garter stitch on fat needles, which is fun. And I do sort of mean that. That is fun to be had. Now you just cast on however many stitches, and then there's an increase row where every fourth stitch you do an increase, just like a really simple like make one increase, and then you just knit garter the whole scarf, and you can see how sort of loose, and because you can see my face with that, can't you? Well, at the very least you should be able to see my eyeliner, which you should be able to see at 40 paces. Now, once you've knit the length of scarf that you want, I mean, it gives you like a number of rows to knit, and it's knit on 6.5mm needles. That every fourth stitch that you added in at the start, you just simply drop it. Oh, excuse me. You drop it. Just drop that stitch and all the way down, and then you end up with that lovely lacy pattern. And I made Erica Knight's hardware jumper. I had a nightmare with the sleeves. We won't get into that again. But that has planned laddering in it, and that was so much fun. I loved it. And she did say to me when I bought the pattern, when she was in person pop-up in a shop in London, that she said, like, once you've done that, you'll be wanting to put ladders in everything. And she's so right. So when I realised this pattern had planned ladders in it, I was like, yes. Yeah, so I'm really, really need to crack on with that so that I can get to the bit where you drop the stitches, and then but then you just have to pray that you're dropping the right stitches, don't you? You haven't mysteriously gained any stitches along the way. But I think that'll be a cracking thing. And then you put a pom-pom on each end. You gather up the bottom and put a pom-pom on. Part of me thinking, just buy a pom-pom, buy that little faux fur pom-pom to put on. But then they're actually quite weighty fellas, aren't they? So I think I will make like a smaller pom. I don't know, would small just look rubbish? I was thinking of making a tassel and putting that on the end, but I thought that actually would look rubbish. I think I'll go with what's in the picture and put a, you know, a woolly pom-pom on the end. So yeah, you would think you'd dip through that though, because it's just literally garter stitch and on big needles. But it doesn't seem to grow as quickly as I thought it would. I thought that would just be like, not a few evenings work, but I thought maybe, I don't know, I kind of thought I'd almost have it done by now, but it seems to be taking me a bit longer to make than is strictly necessary. I think it's me shilly-shallying. So that is it for the old knitting. I won't bother showing you my little mouse embroidery because I've got nowhere with it, because the light's been rubbish and it's been Christmas and stuff, so I haven't done anything on that. I did get some yarn for Christmas, but I've already put it away. I've already stored it away, so I'm not going to show you that, but it's I'll show you it later in the year when I bring that out, which might actually be next month actually, or next week even, because I might use it to make some berets for myself. Anyway, I'll show it to you next time because it's really lovely. It's like a sort of fluffy DK mohair kind of stuff, and it's got a sort of like a sparkle core. I think it's one of those like chain yarns, you know, when it's got like a, is that quick blown yarn, when it's like a sort of tube and it's got like sparkle has been sent down the middle of the tube, but the outer tube is like fluffy mohairy stuff. Am I explaining that nicely? Probably not. But anyway, I've got it in like an electric blue, a really bright pink, and a black, and the black has got gold in the middle of it, and it's fantastic. And now I've talked about it, I really want to go and get it and cast it on. But I can do that at the weekend, can't I? So yeah, oh, and I managed to find, I've been looking for ages for like a sleeve board for sewing, but like a mini one, and I finally found one in Dunelm of all places. So I bought that, so that will help me with the pressing when I make project bags. That will help me press those out. And that is it for knitting. Now all I've got for you now is things like the book that I've been reading and stuff like that. I read some lovely books over Christmas. In December I only read lovely Christmassy books, comfort books. But of my digital reading group with a local library, we read something called The Christmas Murder Game by Alexandra, Benedict. It's very close to like an Agatha Christie and then there were none kind of situation. Members of his family go to a big old house that was the family home, and has since been converted to a hotel and conference facilities and stuff. And gradually they murder each other until the reveal at the end. It's all right. I don't think I'll bother reading any more of her books, to be honest. It was okay. It's readable, and that's as much. Yeah, that's about as far as I'd go with that one. It was readable. That's a bit damning, isn't it? Damning with faint praise. I also read, well, I listened to as an audiobook, Dinner at the Homesick Restaurant by Anne Tyler. Now that's a really cracking book. It's really good, and I liked the way it was read. It was really, really well done. Quite a gloomy read, to be honest. It's not probably a start of the year book. That's not really the tone you want to set, I think, for the start of your year. But I did enjoy it. I also read, I read a lovely book called The Christmas Bookshop by Jenny Colgan. I mean, and it's exactly, that's the perfect Christmas book for me. It's like a cosy romance, and it was set in Edinburgh, and it's about, you know, this woman who goes to work in this failing, rundown, dusty, fusty old second-hand bookshop, and helps the owner kind of turn it around. And it was just lovely. All the descriptions of Edinburgh just honestly just makes you want to go there. It really makes you want to go and have a little holiday in Edinburgh, or move there for 6 months. Anyway, it was really lovely. I really enjoyed that, and I'm gonna have to remind myself next year to only read Christmas books that are like that, not Christmas murder mysteries. I've put my book I'm currently reading over there, so you're probably going to see a very unpleasant view of my bum now. Hold on. There you go. Did you see her? She says hello. So this is my current read, Sybil. It's really good actually. It's an old book, like it's properly foxed and yellowed, and well, it's not really foxed, but it's definitely all yellowed, and it's a bit the worse for wear. This I picked up at a book crossing group meeting quite a long time ago, and it's written by a psychiatrist, Flora, Rheta, Schreiber, and it's about a woman who she's called Sybil, which is not a real name obviously, who has a multiple personality disorder. So I mean, it's quite sad in that, you know, to have developed that many multiple personalities, she has obviously been through quite a lot, because the personalities are her way of dealing with what else is going on in her life. So I'm quite at the start of it still. It's really interesting and I'm really enjoying it, but it's not, you know, it's not like a fun read, because it's not, you know, it's not a happy subject, but it's so interesting. I mean, this woman Sybil has grown up with very strict, very domineering parents, and she's the only child, and she's developed these other personalities to cope with things that have come up from her upbringing. Like as a child, she's told it's sinful to express anger, so she has this like other personality that's a little girl who, you know, she can do things like smash windows and tear up letters, and you know, and just sorts of darts about, and you know, is quite energetic and vocal and stands up for herself, because Sybil can't do that. It's really, I mean, that's really sad, isn't it? But it's all about Sybil has gone through all of her childhood and right up to she's, you know, working as a teacher, so she's a proper adult, trying to manage this on her own. Like, she doesn't really know when the other personality takes over, Sybil just disappears, and you know, she could wake up and it might be a day or even as much as 5 days later, and like lives in New York at this point, but like she found herself in Philadelphia. She like, sort of like came to as herself in a way, just like walking down a random street in Philadelphia, and had no idea where she was or why she was there or how long she'd been there. And it's, I mean, God, can you imagine it being able to function at all when you're dealing with that, let alone hold down a teaching job? Anyway, she's getting help, she's seeing a psychiatrist, she's going for analysis, she's had like tests and things done, but she's experiencing this, to put this into context, she's experienced this in the 1940s as well. So, you know, when if you think about that now, you think, well, there'd be medication, I mean, an attitude would be totally different then to mental health issues. But what I would say, I've read other books that are about people dealing with mental health issues, written from the perspective of a clinician, and they've all been a bit older books, and they're always sexist. There's always a bit of racism and a bit of, well, very patronising, and some, you know, language that's unacceptable. Now, This one, although it was published in 1973, there's none of that. It's really sensitively done. I mean, I know I'm only like 66 pages in of a 400 odd page book, but you know, this woman actually writes with a lot of compassion, and I think that is partly because it's a woman writing about a woman, and you know, her empathy seemed to be pretty strong. I mean, she's very, obviously she's very professional, but she's yeah, it's nicely done. There's no judgment. There's no kind of like, oh, you won't believe what she did next kind of attitude. It's actually a lovely book. So if it's still in print, I don't even know if it is. If it's still in print, I really massively recommend that one. That's a really good read. So far, anyway. Come back to me in a week's time. That is it for books. Do you know, I read 52 books last year. I'm chuffed to bits with that. You know what that is as well? That's because I've been working from home this year. I've gone back to working from home, but this time I'm only working part-time. So most of my time is spent working for myself, but I don't have any of that commuting nonsense to worry about. There's no wasted time in my day. I can get on and crack on and read things. And also because I've been counting the audio books that I read as well, I'm counting that as reading because it's all it is. But I mean, I do, there's part of me that thinks, well, then I should be able to count listening to the Archers as reading as well, shouldn't I? But I'm counting audiobooks. And I've downloaded some printables that I bought on Etsy. I've got my yearly sales map thing, which I love. You colour in the postcode every time you sell something in that area. But I've downloaded a printable colouring bookshelf for all the books you read this year, because I keep like a little booklet of where I write down all the books I've read, and I'm on Goodreads. But I like a little colouring in thing. I'm really happy with that. I'll show you that next time when I've read some things and coloured them in. On TV, we watched Inheritance. I had great hopes for that. I thought it was going to be really good. And then it wasn't. It just went too silly. The idea was good, but there was loads of stuff that happened right from the off that I just thought, well, that's just wrong. There's no way that you'd go into a solicitor with a will that needs contesting and the solicitor say to you, yeah, well, that's just it then. There's at least get you to have a word with someone in contentious probate. And that will was so obviously dodgy that there'd so obviously been a lot of influence from the new wife that there's no way a solicitor would just say to you, yeah, well, you're going to have to get on with it now then, aren't you? And anyway, the whole thing was just ridiculous, and it just got worse and worse. And we did watch it right through to the end. I think Mr. enjoyed it more than me, but I just found all the nonsense in it, like, and it gets more ridiculous the further you go into it. So I'm not going to recommend that one. I don't know, maybe you enjoyed it if you've watched it, but I wasn't getting it at all. We're watching the Mr. Bates versus the post office thing at the moment. It's really sad. I already know the story reasonably well. It's about all those people that the post office just treated appallingly. And lots of people are still waiting for the compensation and stuff, but compensation won't bring back the people that committed suicide. It won't mend the marriages that were wrecked and the families who were blighted, and it doesn't bring back all the years when people have lost their savings and lost hope and had to deal with that depression and all the horrible things of being ostracised and having your name dragged through the courts and losing your standing in the community and all the terrible things that happened. And one thing I do want to point out, which was on the news the other day, bearing in mind this is an election year and I wouldn't normally, well, I might say this sort of thing because this is only number 16. Ed Davey, who is a leader of the Liberal Democrats, who I think could do so much better instead of prattling about with their silly polystyrene walls that they knocked down and all those stupid infantile stunts. He was the minister for the post office at the time of this scandal. and he refused point blank to meet the Mr. Bates who asked for an audience and interview with him. Absolutely refused to have anything to do with them, and just sided with the post office. Didn't give them the time, wouldn't give them the time of day. And someone on the news quizzed him about it the other day. They just said to him, like, do you regret that decision now? And he just did that horrible politician thing of just going, look, I just, you know, I want to focus on the future now. I really hope all those people get their, I know there's still a lot of outstanding compensation stuff and yada yada. And I just thought, well, that's another nail in the Lib Dem coffin for me. There's no way I'd vote for them. Certainly not with him as the leader, because what happened to those people was absolutely disgusting. Anyway, on a lighter note, I mean, it's really good. We've only watched 2 episodes of it so far, because it's been shown currently. It's amazing. Podcasts, always love Rheta Loves to Knit. She's so positive and lovely, and I think she's had a bit of a tough time, you know, like a bit of a emotional roller coastery kind of time recently, with, you know, like we all do, like sort of menopausal, perimenopause, whatever stuff. I mean, I've been so lucky with it, because my HR patches worked like a dream. Before I got the patch, I literally was at a point where I didn't care if I woke up in the morning or not. It was that bad. I mean, when people say hot flushes, I think some people get them to a lesser extent than others. Mine was so bad, I just had lost all enjoyment of life. It was really bad. And I think she's been quite open about, she's having a bit of struggle with them getting her dosages and, you know, what forms of HRT are available. Just finding that balance. But I've been really lucky with it, and it's worked like a dream for me. It's made my life worth living again, to be honest. I'm transformed by it. But I love Rheta Loves to Knit, and she's just great. She is great fun, and I really, you know, wish her well with all that. And that's one that I really try not to miss. I also really love Simon Savage. He's booktubing. He did the one I really enjoyed recently was he did one about prompts for the coming year. He had his mum with him, who sometimes is with him. She's got her own channel too, which I haven't actually subscribed to, and I must. And they had a glass jar, and they were picking prompts out, and then that's their reading prompts for the rest of the year, for the whole year. But it was funny because it's, you know, because it's a mother and daughter. Oh gosh, mother and son, sorry. In my head, I'm seeing her, so that's why I'm thinking daughter. Because it's a son and mother. They've obviously got a special connection. And sometimes she'd pick a thing out and she'd read it, and she'd read it, she'd kind of go. And then he'd look at her and get the giggles, and then they'd both get the giggles. And it was just really light and uplifting and fun. It was just so sweet to see them kind of like just sort of giggling together and stuff, and it was lovely. It was really interesting as well, and lots of really good prompts. I don't do well with prompts. I was kind of thinking, oh, maybe I could do the same, but then I've got my own method of how I like to choose books. The little Japanese lady we call is my method. We'll go into that another time maybe, but that's it. I've talked myself dry. Literally, my throat is dry as a bone. I was trying to think of the word. Lost. Maybe that HRT's not working as well as I thought it was. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you. Like I said, I hope you're having a cracking start to the new year, and that it all remains well and calm and lovely, and you only drop the stitches that you intend to.